School means, from Latin and Greek, to have leisure. Leisure, not to do what you like, partly that, and also to have the capacity or the energy to inquire, to go, to wander about, to look at things, to have leisure, to look around, to look at the trees, the skies, the hills, hear the birds, to see the reflection of the sky and the water, to see how trees grow, the beauty of a tree. That is to have leisure, to inquire not only outside what's happening around you, but also to inquire what is happening inside, in yourself.
Remember that the greatest human beings who have brought change in society have been those who have stood alone and broken away from the past. The Buddha broke away from Hindus. Jesus Christ broke away from the Jews, right? Krishnamurti broke away from the Theosophists. So, to value dissent, therefore, value dissent, and it needs a lot of clarity in your mind. And you must enable the child to come upon that clarity. And it begins with these simple inquiries. What is boredom? Is boredom inevitable? Is worry inevitable?
That's a big challenge. How do you cultivate a sort of stillness? In fact, that stillness accommodates learning, enables learning. So I think restlessness is a lack of attention, and attention is both inner and outer. When your perception is cleansed, you are aware of the outer world and also of the inner world. And that's really what Krishnaji had in mind, that the inner and outer are not different.
In fact, I think that connection with nature is one of the fundamentals of right education, because I mean we are all aware now of what's happening globally, that life becomes so frenetic in a certain way that you have no time to pause and think. And I think nature in some way has an effect of clearing your brain here, clearing your mind to be able to see things more clearly, to be in some way more in contact with yourself also.
Because we are dividing the centimeter only into how many parts? 10 parts.
So one has to sense what a situation demands. So for example, if you're, let us say, a house parent with, say, senior boys, it's very different from being a house parent with young kids. The young kids come to you all the time, full of complaints about each other and full of all kinds of things. And they want your ear all the time. Older students don't necessarily. They need their space, they need their autonomy. But curiously, they also feel more secure if they know you're there.
In talking about it, we get clearer that comparison has only a very limited way of making a child or a student do a little better. But beyond that, it's over. And it's very dependent on the outside person. Learning or thinking happens when the child or the individual is actually engaging with it because he is interested in it. But that does not mean that we do not give children feedback. We do talk to the children and tell, if you did this in this way, perhaps it would have been a better work. It's not better than someone else, better. But at the end, we leave it to the child to see whether he would want to use that input.
It's something which is very, very obvious, and yet something we have succumbed to. It is fear that actually masks creativity or originality. Fear of survival is something that is, again, as an organism, it has come to us through evolution, genetically, whatever. But the psychological fear is something that is cultivated, something that is. So our attempt should be to address that part. The intent is not to overcome fear. It is possible to see that I am able to see the impact of fear on me. So depending on the age group, if you are able to bring in situations and expose, I think to a large extent we have been able to address fear.
What one needs to be conscious of is that actually the children are getting exposed to a hidden curriculum. Okay? And that hidden curriculum is their peer group, is this media, is the kind of books that they are reading and the influences that are falling upon them. So we also need to look at what is the hidden thing which is operating and elicit from the children what is guiding them.
And Krishnamurti, when he came along, I think his major contribution was to go to the heart of the issue. You find in education, there have been multiple approaches to education. This kind of education has never been attempted. We don't know if it's possible. And to teachers, he said, if you're willing to give your life to it, then maybe you'll be transformed. So he shifted the conversation quite dramatically. Now, the influence of that in the school is very profound. The teacher can't say, you follow me and then I'll lead you to wherever. The teacher is a guide, the teacher is a friend, the teacher is a person who is also conditioned. So how do we hold this complex together?
It's not as though it's an idea that they have understood so much as a feeling that they get from the way in which most of us relate to them. They get a feeling that the teacher is not looking at them as part of a mob or a big group, but as individuals. We may agonize that we don't give enough time to each student, but the student himself or herself gets a feeling that she is an individual, she is looked upon as somebody in her own right.
But I think that the Astachal space we have, post-dinner house contacts we have, continue to be a revelation for me as a teacher, to be able to go together, walk together with young people and suddenly see them speak with a certain dignity and an insight that hasn't manifested in the classroom where they're doing mathematics, for example. And here he is talking about the nature of suffering with such sensitivity, and that establishes a very different ground of relationship amongst people.
Can we pause for this? Yes, let's go.
I think that's part of a responsibility of a school also. It's otherwise a school of that kind, particularly boarding schools, they can easily become like little ivory towers, just they can put a wall around themselves and have almost no relationship with the community. The fact is, in a very real sense, there is a real relationship. Many of the working staff come from the villages. I think it's very necessary to have a back and forth living relationship in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of some kind of community involvement. I think it's absolutely essential.
It's important more and more young people get into school education like ours, because it's a work that cannot be done by just a handful of people. You need more people, and some of us are also getting older, so we need people who have academic qualifications and also have larger concerns, not just teaching a subject, but go beyond those.
Is it possible to educate not merely the technological academic side, the functional side, but also the psychological nature of man, the cultivation of the wholeness of man, the entirety of man, neglecting neither the one nor the other, nor emphasizing the one or the other, so that a human being grows up harmoniously without any conflict, inward conflict or outward conflict. Is it possible